Hello student, welcome to the class of Computer Network. I hope that you have watched my previous video related to computer network. So we'll continue with the topic of various layers of OSI model, what are its function and characteristics. So in our previous lecture we have studied about physical layer, we have studied about the data link layer, and we have studied various points related to physical layer, how actual data is sent across the media, and what is the function of data link layer, that is to pass the data from node to node, that we have studied in a previous lecture. So today we'll start with the network layer. So in the network layer you have to remember that the word we are going to use to address the data unit are the packets. So the main function of the network layer is to send packet from source to destination, or you can say that from the source host to the destination host. So over here the main function of the network layer is to decide the route, or the path that needs to be taken by the packet as it travels from source to destination. So it is also called as the routing. So what is the main function of the network layer? The main function of the network layer is to transfer the network packets from source to destination. So how actually it works? So at the source, it is going to accept the data from the transport layer. Okay, transport layer is above the network layer. So it is going to accept the packet from the transport layer. It is going to encapsulate it and deliver the packet to the data link layer. The layer below the network layer is the data link layer, and it is further been transmitted. So the main responsibility over here of the network layer, you can think, is to carry data packets from source to destination. So if the packet is too large, then it will be fragmented, and the network layer is going to add the source and destination address to each and every data packet. What are the main functions of the of the network layer that we are going to study? The first main function of the network layer is packetizing. What do you understand by the word packetizing? That the data is to be sent, the network layer is going to accept the data from the transport layer, it is going to divide and it is going to encapsulate it in a packet. It is going to divide the data and it is going to make a small packets, and that packet will be sent to the further layer, that is to the data link layer. Similarly, at the receiving host, the data will be received from the data link layer and it will be decapsulate to retrieve the packet. So first function of the network layer is the packetizing. Next is the routing or the routing, whatever you will pronounce. So in network you can see, but this is just an example, in network you can see there are various ways through which one router will be connected to another router. So in network layer the number of routes are available from source to destination. So network layer is going to specifies, it is going to select some kind of route, a best possible route, and this process is known as routing. So there is number of routing protocol that will be used in this process, and that will help the various routers to coordinate with each other and establish a proper communication across the network. So you can see that the first task of the network layer was the packetizing. Whatever a complete message it used to receive, it is going to break down in a packet. Next is routing. There will be number of routes available. So it will select the best possible route based on the various routing strategies, based on the various algorithm. Next is the congestion control. What is the congestion control? A network can be, at some point it can be overloaded with the data. Then what you are going to do in such condition, what the network layer is going to do? Will it drop the data? If it drop the data, then the sender will think that the message is not been received, so it will send the data again. So it will make the condition even worse. So how it is going to manage the congestion in the network, that is the responsibility of the network layer. So which are the various routing algorithm, how it is going to manage the congestion, all are the separate topic. We'll study in depth about various routing strategies, how it is going to deal with the congestion control. So you just have to remember over here what are the function of the network layer. So first is it is going to break down in a packets. Next is it is going to select the best possible route. Just remember over here that it is going to select the best possible route. How it will select, on what criteria, that will study in a further lecture. Next was the congestion control. And here you are to going to remember the word host to host. So network layer is responsible for delivering data packet from source to destination. So data link layer was from the node to node, whereas in the network layer it is responsible from source to destination. And this layer provides the service that ensure that packet will reach its intended destination. So here the concept comes of the logical address. What do you understand by the logical address? It is a special, uniquely identifying address of the devices on the network. The network layer places the IP address of the sender and the receiver in the header section of the packet. So such address is helped to uniquely identify the devices universally. The header contains the network ID, it contains the host ID, okay, which describe to which device, to which network the packets needs to be delivered. So I hope that you have understood about network layer. The main function is over here we are going to deal with the packets. Packet is sent from source host to destination host. Packetizing, you can remember by word packetizing. Then is the second was the routing. Third was the congestion control. Next was the host to host delivery and the concept of logical address. Next we'll study about the transport layer. Next is the transport layer. Transport layer is used to provide process to process kind of communication. So over here, the term we are going to use to address the data unit is the segment. Your network layer is used to provide host to destination. Data link layer is used to provide node to node. Similarly, the transport layer is used to provide process to process kind of communication. So main function of this transport layer first is the process to process kind of communication. What do you understand by the word process to process? Our system will be having number of processes. So if a message is received, if a data is received by a system, to which process the data needs to be delivered. So that is done by the transport layer. You can take a general example, like if there is some kind of goods delivery at your home. So it will reach at your home, that is a task of network layer. It will reach to the destination, it is a task of network layer. But at reaching at your home, it should be delivered to the appropriate person, to the proper person. Okay, so that is a task of transport layer. Even if it reaches the destination host, it should reach the appropriate function or the appropriate process. Then it will be a success of a message delivery. So first task of the transport layer is process to process kind of communication. Next is the multiplexing and demultiplexing. Multiplexing, as you know, in general terms, it allows number of processes to use the same network. Whereas the demultiplexing, after it has been received, it will be diversify and it will be given to the appropriate processes. So you can say that multiplexing is many to one and demultiplexing is one to many. So transport layer is responsible for multiplexing and demultiplexing. So for various processes, it is not going to use separate path. The path will be same, but only after reaching the receiver, it will be given to the appropriate process. So that is the concept of multiplexing and demultiplexing over here. Next is the flow control. Flow control means the data is transmitted at the rate that is acceptable for both the sender and receiver. So it should not happen like sender is sending at the very high rate and receiver is not able to capture the data. It is been overwhelmed by the data. So how the flow of data should go on, that is a task of transport layer. At the rate at which the data is to be sent from sender to receiver, it is a task of transport layer. So you can say that transport layer provides data integrity by detecting and discarding the corrupted packets, by tracking the loss and discarded packet. It is going to recognize the duplicate packets, and if there is a duplicate packet, it is going to discard them, and buffering out of order packet until the missing packets arrive. So a sequence some kind of sequence number you will study further. So all those tasks is done by the transport layer. Next is the congestion avoidance. So in network, if a load on the network is greater than the network load capacity, then the congestion will occur. So congestion control refers to the mechanism or techniques through which we are going to control the congestion and keep the load below the capacity. So the transport layer over here, it is going to recognize the overloaded nodes, and it is going to reduce the flow rate, and it is going to take the appropriate step. As I have already told you, that if the network is been congested with the too much kind of packets, and if the sender think that the message is not being delivered, then it will retransmit it again and again. So it will make the condition even worse. So what step needs to be taken? How it is going to reduce the flow control, how it is going to not to overload the nodes, all this will be done by the transport layer. And the very important concept is the port number. What is a port number? Port number is a special kind of number, some kind of special kind of address which is going to recognize the process. So you can say that it is some kind of unique, like IP address is going to identify the computer, your system uniquely. Similarly, the port number is going to identify the process uniquely. So a port number is a 16-bit address. So in total, you are going to have 2 raised to 16 kind of combination. So which port number you are going to use for your purpose? So there are some well-defined port number which has been reserved. Like for example, the FTP is going to use the port number 20. Your SSH secure shell will going to use the port number 22. SMTP will use the port number. So there are list of well-defined port numbers that will be used by the system. So just remember that port number is used to identify the processes. So it is a 16-bit address. So you are going to have 2 raised to 16 kind of combinations. Many are reserved and few are available for the user purpose. So depending upon the use, you are going to use those port numbers. So I hope that you have understood the concept about the function of the transport layer. What are the function of the transport layer? First is the process to process delivery. Next is the multiplexing and demultiplexing. Next is the flow control. Next is the data integrity. Next is the congestion avoidance and the concept of the port addressing. I hope you have understood the topic of the today's lecture, that is a function of network layer and transport layer. Thank you for watching the lecture. If you like the lecture, kindly like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.